I want to change how you look at the world. I want to change how you look at people. Normally, everything is personal. Oh, they said that. Oh, they don't like me. Cut that off. I want you to look at people as facts of nature, like a rock or a stone or a plant. You will be free of all that emotional baggage that you carry when you take everything so personally. So question yourself. Stop assuming that everything you do is so brilliant and smart and right. And imagine that maybe your ideas don't come from yourself. Maybe literally you lose control of your body. I'm a very independent person, very willful. I like to imagine myself like I can do anything I want. Stop judging. You know, I had to accept that this is a fact of life, and how can I make it into something strong? How can I turn this into a positive? I have a chapter on your attitude in life, how you can change your circumstances by changing your attitude. Your attitude towards life will determine what you get. If you're avoidant and hostile towards people, a hostile person will tend to create hostility around him. So how can I alter my attitude? And it's a struggle every single day. I have to be incredibly patient, and I'm not a patient person. It takes me 10 minutes to put on a t-shirt to be able to get my left arm through that sleeve. Damn it, I'm not somebody who's patient. And I've had to develop patience. I've had to overcome all of these sort of negative qualities in myself. I had to overcome my frustration, my lack of patience, my willfulness, the fact that I always have to do things myself, you know, and then I had to confront the fact that I could easily have died, but I didn't. I'm alive, so I can learn from this. I'm learning a lot, and I'm going to rebuild my body. I'm going to rebuild it. I've come a long way, so like a month ago, I was pretty bad. I'm able to walk now fairly well. In 4 months from now, I'm going to be swimming again. In 6 months, I'm going to be jogging. I'm going to be back to where I was. Nothing will stop me. But I have to overcome all of my deficiencies and all of these weaknesses that I have built up over the years. To go through just an hour or half an hour of freeing yourself from all your negative emotions about people, it's almost as if you're going to fly in the air. You feel so light and suddenly you've gotten rid of all of your burdens and all the things that are weighing you down. Accepting people and loving them for who they are is an incredibly liberating thing. Now, you can't do that for everyone. Some people are so toxic and ugly that you're never going to reach a point where you're going to love them. But you can understand them. And in understanding them, you don't have to internalize the pain they inflict on you. We want things to be different from the way they are. We want to have a better wife or husband. We want our children to be better. We don't like the political system. We want this sort of utopia to suddenly come about. We want people to be different. We want this, we want that. And to Nietzsche, that meant you are anti-life. You are against life because life isn't like that. Life is a series of facts. Life is what it is. We've evolved a certain way. Your reality is a certain way. It is what it is. You want to love life. You want to love fate. And what fate means, things happen to you you can't control. You didn't control who your parents are. You didn't control what city you were born into, what school you went into. You didn't control whether you were born rich or poor. There's much you can't control. That's fate. Accept it for what it is. Stop whining and stop going, I want something else. Embrace your world, your life. Our fear of death is probably the greatest influence on our behavior throughout history. We're the only animal that's conscious of our mortality, and it's caused an incredible reaction. We're avoidant, we're anxious. We invent an afterlife, a heaven where we'll all go, right? Or today, we never see death. We never see people die in hospitals. We have no confrontation with death personally in our life, completely disconnected from it. It makes us anxious and fearful, and that controls everything about our behavior. We become anxious and fearful about everything. So the ability to accept death and look it square in the eye and accept this is your reality, that you're not going to live forever, is very liberating. So amor fati is a step from turning your back, let's face this way, going, here's life, and oh, I hate it, I don't want it, blah, 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 to turning around and facing it, going, I accept it, I love it, I embrace it. and it has a very powerful effect. That the worst feeling in the world is to be facing death and to think, damn it, I've wasted my life. And I want people out there to realize that if you're 20s and your 30s, you don't want to reach that point. You don't want to waste your time and become 55, 58, have a stroke, face death, and what have you done? Nothing. You've moved from job to job. You tried this, you tried that with half an energy. You really have nothing to look back on. That's the worst feeling. So that's part of how I'm able to stay calm. But the other thing is you say, bring it on, what worse can happen? I've already experienced it, you know? I'm somebody who has a great deal of fear of death, and now I had to deal with it. So it's all right, it's not that bad, I can handle it. I want to change how you look at the world. And so with the laws of human nature, I want to change how you look at people. Normally, everything is personal. Oh, they said that. Oh, they don't like me. Oh, he likes me. I'm not getting attention. Cut that off. I want you to look at people as facts of nature, as things that, like a rock or a stone or a plant. This is who they are. And I want you to observe them and accept them for who they are and deal with them as individuals. You will be free of all that emotional baggage that you carry when you take everything so personally. I think altering your perspective, how you look at people, will have a radical influence on all aspects of your life. So I want to have the biggest impact that I possibly can, and that's how I try and design my books for.
Strategy is not formulaic, which is what most people tend to think of it. Most people think of strategy as, I have to memorize these certain points, A, B, and C, 1, 2, and 3. I learn what the master says about strategy, I memorize it, and I apply it here, there. That's formulaic thinking. That's tactical thinking disguised as strategy. Strategy is, in fact, a philosophy. It is a way of looking at the world, a different way of looking at the world, a viewpoint, a philosophy I happen to find very beautiful and very fascinating. And once you absorb the basic ideas in this philosophy, they become internalized. You start seeing things differently. And from the inside out, you begin applying these strategies to your own circumstances. You adapt it to your own life, as opposed to the other way around. And this can be very liberating and very empowering. Most people in any kind of situation depend on something. Everybody depends on something when they go into battle. Usually what people depend on is something very physical. They depend on the fact that they have more money than the other side. They depend on the fact that they have more friends, more power, more influence, that their company is larger, whatever it is. They depend on physical, mechanical things. A person who uses strategy does not depend on physical, mechanical things. A person who depends on strategy depends on his creativity, his or her creativity in the moment. Learning about what it is in that particular battle that he can gain an advantage through, using the weaknesses of the person, whatever it is. If your mind is filled with all kinds of ideas from the past, if you repeat the same formulas that you've used again and again, you have already lost the war. If, on the other hand, you try this other approach and you ground yourself in this idea of do not fight the last war, which I maintain is the foundation of all solid strategic thinking, you have already won the war before it even happens. All human beings are part Aries and part Athena. The Aries part of us is our animal nature. It is our tendency to react to the most immediate thing around us and to get very emotional. Athena represents our consciousness, our rationality, what makes us superior to other animals. The Aries part of our nature tends to always dominate. So even if we're in a situation where we think we're being very clever and very strategic and we have the perfect idea, the perfect plan, in the heat of the moment, when things get stressful, when the feet are to the fire, Aries rears his ugly head and he makes us emotional, and we become impatient and we become greedy, and he pushes us off course. And we build a house that's very flashy but has a terrible foundation, or we don't cross the sea successfully, or we lose the war, we lose the election. Grand strategy is a military term that refers to a very particular way of thinking. Most often in any kind of situation, when we are facing an opponent of any size, we tend to look at what is most immediate around us. It's human nature. Battle is a very visceral affair. And because of that, we tend to react to what is most in front of us. And even though we might plan and strategize, when our vision is locked in on that immediate battle, we lose something. And what grand strategy is, you move away from the battlefield from a moment, and you force yourself to detach and to actually try and see more of what is going on around you than you saw before. You avoid the temptation of reacting and of looking at the actual physical components of your opponent. You force yourself, for instance, to look deeper into history, about the history of the conflict. You think further into the future. You consider, instead of the usual thing in warfare, you think of politics, and you think of culture, and you think of the social aspect of the battle. You take in everything, you take in as much as you can. And by thinking and planning in this way, you create what is known as a campaign. Most people fight in terms of battles and their immediate battles. The idea in grand strategy is you lose battles but win the war. You think in terms of several years down the line of what your ultimate goal is, and you craft a very powerful, a very rational campaign. You think in larger terms about what could be the consequences of this strategy that you've come to think is brilliant. You tear it up, and you just determine that you're going to think about something else. And you force yourself literally to take in more of the environment around you. You think of more deeply about the social circumstances of this battle, something that's extremely important and was the key to Napoleonic warfare. You determine to take more of the cultural circumstances. You look more deeply at your enemy. You look through your enemy's eyes and see how they are seeing you. And with this heightened perspective, you then hit upon a completely new strategy that has so much more vision and so much more fluidity to it that you will naturally hit upon a grand strategic decision. When you add up all of these factors, I think you see an incredible degree of emotions infecting his strategic decisions. Now, I don't see anybody really ever commenting on this. Maybe it's because when you look at these people like Bush or particularly Cheney, you don't really think that there's emotion going on. But when you look at the strategy, there is. There is a predisposition to want to be the one to take out Saddam Hussein. There is a desire to show our resolve to get some vengeance. The whole notion of showing your resolve, of finishing your job to the end. Resolve is a very important thing in warfare, a very important quality. But if it's not allied with intelligence and smartness, it merely becomes stubbornness, which is actually another emotional quality. So when a person comes to strategy with all of these emotions clouding the mind, the emotions that I talked about, revenge, resolve. I also forgot to mention the belief in this incredibly rosy scenario, which almost borders on wish fulfillment. When you have all of these emotions swirling in the back of your mind, you tend to create strategies that are not really related to reality. Instead of imagining that this scenario that you have painted of peace spreading could actually turn into the opposite, you never see. So I remember when the war was first being planned, I would be yelling at the television. I would be yelling at anybody who would listen to me, and there weren't very many people who would listen to me, that I could not for the life of me see how this war would end. And I didn't mean it in a political sense. I could not see how this war would end. If you signal your intentions that democracy will spread through the Middle East by this kind of virus, and that you really want to get rid of the regimes in Iran, in Syria, and Saudi Arabia, you are signaling to these people that you have the intention of getting rid of them. If you have this timetable where you want to get out of the Middle East in 3 or 4 years, you get out of the Middle East with this kind of very fragile Band-Aid like democracy there, why wouldn't you imagine that countries like Iran and Syria and Saudi Arabia have all of this, their stake in this battle, in this not succeeding? They're not going to want Iraq to remain a democracy, and as soon as you leave, they are going to do every damn thing they can to disrupt it.